Hi there. In this video, I'll be going over how you can use a Pico 2 or 2W to create a simple intruder alarm using a PIR motion sensor, an LED, and a buzzer. The end result of this project is that when motion is detected by the motion sensor, the onboard LED will flash on and off, and the buzzer will sound. A message will also be displayed in the console. Now, let's go over what's needed for this project. In terms of hardware, you'll need a Pico 2 or Pico 2W, a USB-A or USB-C to micro USB cable, a breadboard, a PIR motion sensor, a buzzer, and 5 DuPont cables. They can be any color you like as long as it makes sense to you. I'll be using one red, one black, and one purple male to female cables to connect to the sensor, along with one black and one white male to male cable to connect to the buzzer. As for software, you'll need MicroPython installed on the Pico 2 or Pico 2W, Python installed on your system, and an IDE, which in my case I'll be using VS Code. Now, let's take a look at how we'll connect all the hardware together. Okay, so the first thing we do is insert the Pico 2 or Pico 2W into the breadboard. Then we put the buzzer in, and then for the buzzer, we'll start there first. We're going to connect pin 18 using one of the black male-to-male cables, and that'll provide the ground for the buzzer. And then on the other side, we're going to connect the white cable. That will use GP27 or pin 32. And then for the motion sensor, we'll use the red male-to-female connector to give 5-volt power, and that'll be on physical pin 40. Then we'll use the black male to female cable, and that'll go into pin 38, which will be for ground. And lastly, we'll use the purple male to female cable to go into GP17 or pin 22, which is the physical port number, for signal out into the PIR motion sensor. As for the LED, we're just going to use the one that's on board the Pico, so there's nothing to wire up. Now that we've got all the hardware set up, let's review the code that we're going to use to make all this come together. Okay, so I've got the project all set up. I've got the Pico 2W that I'm using connected up to the Mac Studio that I'm using as well. So on the right hand side, I've got the files and folders that are created. To begin with, you just need to create a new Pico project and then just go through that wizard again. First off, I've got a folder called modules, and there's just one module in it this time, which we're just going to call alarm. And then outside of that, the only other file that I've created is this main.py file. So that'll just be our main application that we're going to run. So I'm going to start by covering the alarm.py file. So what this will do is basically interact with the hardware and do what we need it to do. Just to go over it line by line a little bit. First, I'm going to import machine because that's what we need to interact with the GPIO pins. And then from time, I'm going to import sleep_ms. That just allows us to use milliseconds for the sleep instead of just sleep, which would work in seconds. Then I'm just going to define a couple of pins. So LED, which will be the onboard LED, so machine.pin and then LED. And then after that, we've got the one for the buzzer, and that's just on pin GP27. And then we come to our motion detected function. Put simply, what this will do is it'll just do an initial sleep for 100 milliseconds once it's called. And then if the pin value here has a value, so this here, it will then run this particular piece of code. So generally, if the pin does have a value, that basically means it's been interrupted, and the value would typically, I've noticed, be something like 1. At that point, it'll just do a print statement to the console to say that there's an intruder. In this case, it says danger Will Robinson, danger. See if you can get that reference. And then after that, it'll just run this for loop for 20 times, and each time it'll toggle the LED on or off, the buzzer on or off, and then sleep it for 100 milliseconds again. And that's basically all you need to do to interact with the hardware at that point. So I'll just close that down, and then I'll open the main.py file. Again, I'll cover this line by line. We've got a couple of imports again. So first off, machine, because we need to use one of the GPIO pins again. And then we're just going to import our alarm module and then the motion detector function that we just went over. After that, we've got our main function. And in here, in the first line, we're just going to define our motion sensor. So we're just going to say machine.pin. We're going to use GP17 and then scroll down a little bit. I'm going to do a simple while loop to keep the program running. And all it's going to do is check for an interrupt request on the motion sensor. And if one's detected, it'll then trigger an IRQ interrupt. And then from a handler perspective, it'll just call that motion detected function. And then it'll trigger the message to go off in the console, the light to go on or off, and the buzzer to go on or off. And then lastly, we're just going to call the main function when the program runs. And that's all the code that we need to make this work. So I'll just upload that to the Pico. And let's just run the program. I'll just do this a couple of times. As you can see, we've got the message on the screen, we've got the buzzer going off, and the LED going on and off. So I'll just terminate this, and that's all there is to it. A simple motion detection application that'll just ring a buzzer and turn an LED on and off. I hope you found that useful. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. On the left here, I've got a list of Pico videos you might enjoy, and on the right, there's another video that you might enjoy as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.